Hey, what is going on, you guys? Welcome to another episode of the Trainer Talk. Today, we're going to be talking about your health spending account. So, in regards to our health and our fitness, you want to think of it just like our savings account or your checking account. So, every single day, we're presented with choices that we can make that either add to our health account or take from our health account. And when you think about it like that, it makes you think a little bit more about the choices that you make. Is this going to add to that account or take away from it? Am I going to get healthier or move toward my goals, or am I going to move further away? So what we want to do is kind of talk about the importance of this, kind of changes your mindset, and then we'll also give some awesome examples as well.
Yeah. I think a big thing that this kind of takes away is like the all or nothing mentality of like, I'm either 100% on or 100% off. It's not like with spending or your own personal budget or savings account where you know that there's going to be withdrawals through, normal everyday expenses. You have car payments, you got to pay for food, you got to pay for gas. Those are necessities for your actual savings account. So you know that there's going to be withdrawals, but they're necessary. But you don't spend $50 and be like, oh, I just spent $50 over my budget for food. I guess I might as well just spend $500 on food. And we take that out of proportion when it comes to our health spending account, where you end up, if you do a little bit of like more spending or you're taking withdrawals from your health spending account, then all you have to do is just kind of not go overboard with it. You just get right back on track with what you were doing and then start focusing on adding in good things rather than just taking the bad things out.
Yeah, like a good example really quick on that, like when she mentioned this, when you go spend $50, you're like, oh, I spent $50, I might as well spend $500. That's kind of like, if you have one cookie or two cookies, you're like, oh, I failed, I might as well just eat the whole box. That's kind of what we're trying to explain there, is that you don't have to be perfect. Like, you can have a cookie or two, but you're not just going to drain your whole entire account and have the whole entire box of cookies. That's what we want to try to get across to you guys. So go ahead, Caitlin.
Yeah, and I think like people just don't think about like the importance of their health when it comes to like future investing, because I mean, if you don't take care of your health now when you're younger and healthier and already kind of in a good position, you're going to get to the end of your life and not be able to do anything, not be able to go out and play with your grandkids. You're not going to be able to get off the couch maybe. Maybe you're going to end up in the hospital for months on end, and then you're going to end up spending a bunch of actual money on your health because you are in the hospital. You're dealing with diabetes or some other type of like cardiovascular issue or something like that. So I think we just, we pay attention to our bank account and how much money we have in there, but we don't pay attention to what we are putting in our actual bodies. And again, like if you're not able to actually go out and do something when you are older, when you are retired, what's the point of having all that money if you can't even go out and see the world and do things with that money that you've invested?
Yeah, I agree. And kind of going back to what Bethany said, consistency is key, not perfection. We're not shooting for perfection. So, and kind of what I like to do, the way I look at my health account and how I use it is I almost save up during the week and sometimes the weekends, and I save my spending for the times in my life where I have less control over the decisions that I am able to make. So, going out to eat with family, I'm not going to say, no, I can't go out to eat with you guys. I'm not spending any money today. I'm going to go out and eat, and I'm going to enjoy that because I saved up for that during the week. And it's like, going to the beach and having, some junk food, some ice cream on a hot day, things like that. So I'm not necessarily saying no to those things, but I'm adding up in my account when I have the control over it and then spending it when I don't.
Yeah, so you're making good choices for the most part, day in and day out, so that when those circumstances come, you can feel free to enjoy yourself. Exactly. And that's exactly what we want to try to get people to think about. And going back to what Caitlin said, I like to think of it like this, like those people that, have something traumatic happen to them, a heart attack, maybe they develop diabetes or they have a stroke, something like that. And then they're like, oh, I should probably start exercising and eating healthier. That's like waiting until you go bankrupt and lose everything and then thinking to yourself, maybe I should get better at saving money. Mm-hmm. Like, nobody should ever do that. Very, very few people think like that. A lot of people are conscious enough to be like, hey, I think we need to save 10% of our money every single month or 20% of our money every month. We have investments accounts, we have retirement accounts, so our 401k, our IRAs, all those things. We know that we need to be setting aside and letting that grow. That is the same exact thing as, maybe I need to eat vegetables every single day. I need to drink more water every single day. I need to maybe go for a walk 15 minutes every day. That little deposit will compound over time, and you're going to be healthier down the road so that you can enjoy those things once you get to that age. And just to give you some more examples, like things that add to your health spending account would be eating vegetables and fruits, going for a walk, working out, drinking more water, eating lean protein, eating slowly and mindfully, maybe doing something to help relieve some stress. So maybe you meditate or do yoga or get outside and play. Like maybe it's going to the beach with friends. That's a way to relieve some stress. You're not necessarily taking from that account because you're going to do something that you love and enjoy. And maybe that's your deposit, and then you spend that deposit by getting an ice cream. It balances out. So that's what we're trying to get you guys to think of. But here's what most people do, especially in our nation, is they pull from that health spending account. They're eating highly processed foods. Maybe they skip breakfast. They probably don't drink enough water. They get coffee or pop instead, or energy drinks. So they're just pulling from that account until one day they're going to go bankrupt and they're going to have that heart attack. They're going to develop that diabetes. They're going to be obese. And then they're like, oh crap, what the heck do I do now? And what we're here to tell you is it's so much easier to have that spending account full or your bank account full when you're putting contributions in there every single day or week after week, so that when something traumatic happens, you're prepared for it. So that's what we want to try to get across to you guys.
Yeah, exactly. Like I like how DeLauren kind of put, you almost like save up for it. So you're almost budgeting in a way for those times when you want to make those indulgences, because we don't expect everyone to be perfect. We say it all the time, 80-20. We do it ourselves. We have times when we know we're not going to sleep as good, or we're not going to get as much sleep as we can, or we're not going to have the best diet and different things like that. But what we do is we control the 90% of the time other than that by getting enough sleep, by doing our workouts, by eating the fruits and vegetables, and then just making the good choices. So that way we don't feel guilty when it comes to the times we do want to spend money on things that we want to do or spend on our health savings account. I was talking to a client earlier this week, and they brought that up too, of how, they're super on track, like during the week, and that, they didn't feel bad if they wanted to, have one meal a week that's, maybe a little bit more of a fun meal, more of those like tasty foods that they're not having all the time. But when they used to have those, maybe every day or every other day, they would feel bad if they went out with friends and they're like, oh, I should probably get like a salad or something like that because, I wouldn't, I feel bad if I, choose a less healthy food. But by making those decisions, those good decisions and good deposits throughout the week, then it almost like takes the stress out of it of like, it's okay to, have a treat every once in a while.
Yeah. And I really like what DeLauren said, kind of Bethany said too. And I think it just comes down to like planning, like having a plan. Because if you don't, then you may get to the weekend and be like, oh man, like I'm not gonna be able to have time to get in a workout this weekend. I am gonna be away this weekend. I'm gonna be on a work trip, like whatever it is. And then you didn't invest in yourself the week leading up to that. And then you've had a whole entire week or more of kind of being off track a little bit, which happens. But if you can have a plan, like for example, I know this weekend I'm not going to get in a workout, so I'm making sure that I get in my workouts every single day this week, getting in good ones, not missing them. And I know that I'm probably going to have a few, like we're going to go out to eat this weekend, so I'm going to prep my meals, make sure that they're ready to go, and just have a really good week leading up to that. So that way you don't feel so terrible when you enjoy yourself on the weekend, just like DeLauren said. And I mean, life happens. We get sick. Kids get sick. You miss things. You miss workouts. You don't eat the best. And I've had weeks where I've been off either like on my honeymoon or from being sick, and never once have I come back from my week of missing workouts and not just picked up right where I left off. Like you might feel a little bit more sluggish coming back, especially if you were sick or you ate a little more junk food during the week that you were gone on vacation or something like that. But within a couple of days of getting back into a routine, you pick right back up where you left off, and you didn't just totally fall off the wagon because you have set yourself up for success and you've invested in yourself for months and months and months before that.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And kind of going back to what Taylor was talking about with how to add to your health account, I like to have as many sources of income into my account in my life as I possibly can, whether that's physically through exercise and eating the right foods with good nutrition, or mentally also with good nutrition, because that can definitely affect your mental health too, or spending time in nature, spending time with my family helps add to my account. Having fun helps add to my account. Surrounding myself with like-minded people and people that are smarter than me, like most of you guys. So you're adding to my account every day. And I'm learning just from listening to you guys and doing these trainer talks and reading books and listening to podcasts. So there's so many different ways you can add to your health account. It's not necessarily just exercise and food. There's so much more to it than that.
Yeah, for sure. I love that you said that. Have a variety of different things that you can do to add to it. And it doesn't have to be a lot. That's where I think a lot of people go wrong is it's kind of that perfection in all or nothing mindset of like, oh, I need to work out 5 days a week and follow this strict diet plan. That's like throwing all of it into the bucket. That's just too much sometimes. We would rather have people, still have some indulgence where they're pulling from their account, but be able to do it consistently over time. And I'm going to read a little bit off of a guide that we actually have. This whole topic's based off of our nutrition certification. It's called the Health Spending Account. And it says on here, every time you take even the smallest positive step to nurture and care for your health, it's like chucking a handful of change in your health piggy bank. Even if it's only 25 cents at a time, like taking 3 deep breaths, drinking a glass of water, it could be like going for a 5-minute walk, something super small. Sometimes you're going to be able to throw more into it. Like sometimes you can work out for an hour, 5 days a week, but then there's going to be times during the week where maybe you can only get 1 or 2 workouts in. We want you to know that that's perfectly fine and that's normal. There's going to be very busy times in your life, such as the holidays, things like that. You just have to adjust how much you're saving and putting into that account. Sometimes you're going to have to pull a little bit more, or you're not going to be able to put as much in, but just know that you do whatever you're able to. If you're used to saving, let's say $300 every month, and then something comes up and you're not able to, you're not just like, well, I guess I'll never save money again then. It's like maybe we'll cut it back to $100 a month for the time being because we have this extra expense. So it's just all about planning. Like what Caitlin said, like have a plan and prepare for these circumstances, such as summertime. Like we have a ton of people that like to go out and enjoy their summer. They go camping. They do a lot of other things outside of just their work and family life. So maybe instead of coming in here and doing 3 or 4 classes a week or training sessions, they do 2 or 3 or 1 or 2. But they're still getting in some workouts to maintain their results, and they still follow a plan during the week, and then they kind of enjoy themselves a little bit more during the weekend. The important thing is not to throw in the towel and think that you failed if you had a weekend of indulgence. The most important thing is just getting back on track on Monday. So just some things to think about. I really like relating our health account to our wealth account. I think a lot of people need to start thinking of it in terms of the same thing. And at the end of the day, what good is your wealth if you can't enjoy it and have your health, like what Caitlin mentioned? We're really good at, having or making our money and saving it and protecting it and being very cautious of where it goes and what we spend it on. But at the end of the day, if you get to the end of life and you have all this money, but your health is gone and you can't enjoy anything, what good is all those years of keeping it and not investing in your health as well? So we need to invest in our wealth and our health. And I think that would just make us a lot more happy and healthy individuals and live a higher quality of life. And that's kind of the goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they kind of go hand in hand of creating that budget. So you budget your money, you should budget your health spending and saving as well. So for example, for people that don't have a budget and then they just kind of go willy-nilly, like sometimes they rack up a bunch of credit card debt, which is usually what happens, and then they get into a lot of trouble later in life, and then whatever kind of happens to those financial ways or directions that people go usually doesn't end up very well. They end up getting foreclosed on houses and stuff like that, and then that's basically what happens if you keep spending on your health savings account and rack up so much debt that eventually, like you said, you become bankrupt. So it's, you can see the road of both directions, whether it's financial, whether it's your health account as well. And then it's the same thing as where it's savings. Like even if it's just, maybe 25 cents that you're in the green where you're above saving what you're spending, it's still better than going backwards. So as long as you're like still making progress, or at least just maintaining, like you're not going backwards, which is the important thing. And that's, exactly the same with when you're saving your money. Like at least as long as you break even every month or put a little bit in there, you'll be wealthy over time. You'll have some left over for your retirement, and then you'll be able to enjoy it with having that health long term as well too.
Yeah, I really like that. I mean, personally, I've gone from doing 1.5 to 2 hour CrossFit workouts 5 days a week to 30 to 45 minute workouts during pregnancy, just because it's harder and a lot of setbacks and stuff like that. And I mean, you can either get frustrated when life happens and you are set back a little bit, or like they both just said, you can just keep going, doing your best, and just knowing that life happens and it's not always going to be perfect, but you just have to give what you are able to give every single day.
Yeah, I also just started adding a little bit more to my account by doing some CrossFit workouts, going out of my comfort zone a little bit. So that's not something I'm used to. That more high intensity training. And I think that like setting goals and trying new things, and it helps you build habits, because like for me, I'm just started a marathon training program, and I have to be consistent and disciplined. And it's almost making me add to my health account by, exercising every day, and then making sure that I'm eating the right foods so I can exercise every day. So I really don't have a choice if I want to reach this goal. So I think setting goals can help.
Yeah, for sure. Biggest thing with that though is don't get caught up on the end goal. A lot of people set that goal of, hey, I really want to lose 30 pounds, So let's compare that to a money goal. Like let's say you want to save, $10,000. Like you can't just open up your bank account every day and be like, oh, do I have more money in there? No, you have to make small deposits day after day. So you have to put in the work. You got to get your workouts in. You got to eat better. You got to drink more water. You got to get more sleep. Those are those deposits. And then one day, eventually, you will hit that mark where you've saved your 10,000 or hit your 30 pounds. A lot of people focus way too hard on that scale. They just think if they, work out a couple times and all of a sudden it's going to happen. They're just going to weigh themselves every morning and they're going to be lighter. You have to actually do the work. You actually have to save. You put money into that account. So let's give you some actual, tips and things that you can start doing right now to help adding more to your account. So every little decision that you make during the day, just stop and ask yourself, like, okay, is this adding to my account or pulling from it? So starts with, waking up. Are you, getting your workout clothes packed and ready to go to the gym? Or are you making a healthy breakfast? Maybe drink some water before you have your coffee. It's a very powerful thing because we're dehydrated when we wake up. Drink a glass of water before you have your coffee. So you can still have the coffee. It's just you're adding to before you pull out, right? So making small decisions like that, what are you going to do for lunch? Are you going to make a meal or get a healthier option maybe than what you're used to? That maybe for you could be adding to your account, even if it's just a little bit better of an option than what you normally do. Same thing with like your dinner, your workouts, your sleep. If you're somebody that, I've already, watched one episode of TV, I might as well just watch 3 more. No, it's, so what? You watched one, you pulled a little bit from your account. Let's turn it off and let's go to bed a little bit earlier to add back to that account. And that way I can wake up refreshed, ready to go to the next day. So start looking at those decisions like that. Is it adding or pulling from my account? And directly related to nutrition, I really like this concept. You can ask yourself 3 questions. Is this high quality food? Is it healthy foods? Is it the right amount of food that I should have? If you're not sure, use your hand. So a palm for your protein, a fist for your veggies, cupped handful for your carb, or maybe it's the size of about half your hand or your hand for your carbs, and then a thumb of fat. Is this the right quantity? Is it high quality? And then does it support my goal? And if it does all three of those things, you get a smiley face or a green light. If it's got maybe 2 out of those 3, if it's kind of, it's a good, decent option, maybe it's a little bit under or over the quantity, and it's kind of supporting your goals, you get kind of in the middle. You get kind of a meh face or a yellow light. But if it's poor quality, maybe it's processed fast foods, it's a lot, it's like, high calorie with low nutrient, and it doesn't support your goals, and you get a red light or a smile or a frowny face. So you can start looking at your meals like that, just asking yourself those 3 questions. Does it support my goals? Is it high quality food? And is it the right amount of food that I need to nourish my body? You can start doing that for your meals right away, and that'll help you eat better. And what we want you to know is if you look at, a week, about 70% of those, or maybe even 60% of those, should be smiley faces or the green lights. And then maybe 20 or 30% is the yellow lights or the meh faces. And then maybe 5 to 10% would be the red lights. And that's totally okay. Every single weekend almost I get a blizzard, and I'm totally okay with it because I freaking love blizzards. But I am on point almost all week long, and I work my butt off so that I can enjoy my blizzard, and that's just what I do.
Right. Yeah, I liked that you added the tip with the faces of rating and just being aware of where you're currently sitting, and maybe have very little green faces if you're looking to lose weight or something like that, and maybe the meals that you eat don't usually support your goals. So there's finding a way to turn those yellow faces into green ones, or just making that a little bit better of a choice or a little bit better option, choosing that, just little things. You don't want to add too much at once. Some people kind of fall into that camp right away when they're all gung-ho. They're I'm going to start working out 5 days a week, and I'm going to have 5 servings of fruits and vegetables, and I'm going to have lean protein with every meal, and I'm going to sleep this amount of time and drink this much water. And it's too much for someone that's going from the completely opposite lifestyle. So focusing on adding in something that's sustainable, small, that you can do, maybe just add vegetables to your lunch. If that's something that you can do every day, pre-packed carrots or cucumbers or whatever vegetable you want. It doesn't have to be a specific kind. Just work on getting vegetables at one more meal. Or maybe it's, packing more high protein snacks, having protein bars with you for snacks, or having water bottles around all the time. Just little things like that of you're not forcing yourself or having to white knuckle your way through this plan, and that ultimately sets you up for failure. You're just adding in these little things, and then over time, that money will compound, and then you'll get to your goal eventually. It's better than trying to go all gung-ho and then all of a sudden getting blown out of the water, and then you have 2 cookies and you're oh no, I'm already way off my plan. Eat the rest of the box, and then you're well, screw it, I guess I tried. And it's just better if you set yourself up for success in the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, that's just kind of what I was going to say is the 80-20 rule. Doing your best, eating good 80% of the time, real whole foods, but never totally going 100% all in, because otherwise it just will lead to deprivation and falling completely off the wagon, and just cycling around and around.
Yeah, I don't really have too much else to add, but kind of like Bethany, you're talking about the small steps. And if you think about a ladder, and at the top of the ladder is success and your goal and where you want to be, the small steps are important, because if you have these big steps on the ladder, it's hard to get up. Sometimes you can't quite reach those, but when you have these small steps all the way, it's a lot easier. It might take a little bit longer, but it's a lot easier to reach those steps going one at a time.
Love that. Yeah, 100%. And just to kind of one more analogy, relating it back to your account, every week, how much are you allowing yourself to kind of buy something you like a piece of clothing or something? I hope it's not 80% of your account of the money that you make. So when you're choosing, your foods, and if you're deciding whether or not to exercise and things like that, if 80% of your decisions are poor decisions, you're not going to get closer to your goals, and you're going to bury yourself in debt. So, for most people, and I think we could probably all agree, we have a small percentage of our weekly amount that we buy something that we enjoy, or maybe it's going to a concert or going out to eat, buying a piece of clothing that we want, and it's maybe 10 or 20%. So that's that 80-20 where that's coming into play, that 20% where you can just do whatever you want. You can have the junk food that you would like as long as you're on track 80% of the time. It's no different than your income. If your weekly income, you make a certain amount and you have a little percentage of it that you can kind of spend on whatever you like and enjoy, that will set you up for long-term success. So we'll end with that. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you got some value from this. Hopefully you liked it. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe. That way you can see all of our future videos. And if you need help getting on track, that's what we're here for. So don't be afraid to reach out, and we can set up a free consult, figure out what your goals are, and help you make strides toward becoming the person that you want to become. Until next time, have an awesome day, and we'll see you later. Bye.